Hello, hi everybody, how are you all doing? Hi, welcome to day 3 of the 5-day sugar-free challenge. So welcome back to those of you that are on day 3. Congratulations, well done, keep going. How are you doing? I'd love to know how you're doing. I've had a few people email me, just ask me some questions. I've had some people post on Facebook with some really brilliant questions. So I'm going to try and get to those today if I have time. If not, maybe I'll do a Facebook Live tomorrow with one of them and a Facebook Live the next day. I had a really great question via email about someone doing the challenge, and they asked about the fact that I recommended basmati rice as a carbohydrate source. So I might have a chat about that a bit later. And interestingly, they said they thought that basmati rice was really high in sugar, so they have quinoa and things like that instead. So I just want to touch on that because I know it can be super confusing for everybody about what to eat and what starches and what carbs to eat. So I want to tell you actually why I recommend basmati rice and why, as long as you have it in the right ratio, it's not as bad as everyone makes it out to be. It's about understanding the difference between carb and sugar, slow release, how the glycemic index of something. So we'll have a little bit of a chat about that later. But welcome back to those of you, if this is your day 3. And for those of you who are only just joining me, or maybe you're watching the recording on YouTube and you haven't met me before, my name is Naomi Judge. I'm a naturopath and nutritionist, and I help women discover the connection between their health, their happiness and their hormones. And this is why I'm doing a 5-day sugar-free challenge, because sugar is so important when it comes to your hormones. If you can get your diet under control, you can get sugar under control, it will go so far in balancing your hormones, reducing inflammation, sorting issues out like polycystic ovarian syndrome, elevated testosterone, stubborn weight, all of those things. It's related to hormones, and sugar has a huge influence on your hormonal balance. So I had a really great question a couple of days ago, so I said I was going to deal with this today. I had a question from one of you on mindset. The question was, how do I figure out my mindset when it comes to eating and craving things? How do I stop the chit chatter in my brain? How do I not give in to the craving? What do I do? Because I constantly crave. What's going on? How do I stop that? I want to be mentally strong. And I think we can all relate to that. We've all been there. We've all been through that process, where it's like chit chat going on all the time. I should eat it, shouldn't eat it, should eat it, shouldn't eat it. So today I wanted to take you through some steps that I've learned. I also want to tell you a little bit about, I used to have lots and lots of sugar cravings. And in fact, up until recently, I used to have food cravings. So I would actually eat more than I should do in terms of grazing through the day instead of 3 balanced meals. So I want to tell you how I overcame that. And it was really simply how I overcame that. But I'll tell you in a minute, what I did. But first of all, let's talk about the cravings. So if you have these cravings, and in particular over the last couple of days, if you've been trying to quit sugar and you're constantly thinking about sugar, you're really craving, then you have to think to yourself, is it something biochemical? Is it my meal balance? Am I not balancing out my macronutrients? Sorry, a bird just like flew into the washing line and kind of did a somersault. Oh man, that was amazing. It kind of went and went around it like a cartoon. Oh, that was quite funny. I wish I'd been recording that. That would be pretty cool. Probably more interesting than me. So, first of all, you need to think to yourself, are you eating 3 balanced meals a day? Now, on day 1, I talked about having your 3 balanced meals. You need to have 3 meals a day. In those 3 meals, you need to make sure they're balanced with protein, fats, some carbohydrates, lots of leafy veggies, and did I miss one? No, I got all 3 of them, all 3 of your macronutrients. It needs to be balanced. And if you're one of these people that crave sugars all day, you really need to focus on a savoury breakfast. You really need to cut down any of your sugars, even if they're natural, to help balance out your blood sugar levels. So first of all, biochemically, is there anything going on? Have you balanced your 3 meals? Are you dehydrated? Are you drinking enough water through the day? Are your hormones balanced? If you've got excess estrogen, if you've got low progesterone, if you've got high cortisol, you're going to crave, and it's going to be really difficult for you to stop craving. So you particularly need to look at your latter half of your cycle. After ovulation, from day 14 onwards to day 28, you're more insulin resistant. So are you finding you're craving more then? Is that an issue for you? So look at your cycle and look at where you are craving, and then you can relate back to your hormones, and you know that you've got an issue with your hormones, and that's where you need to focus. Have you got issues with your neurotransmitters? Do you have low serotonin? If you've got low serotonin, you're going to be craving for foods all the time. Low serotonin goes hand in hand with low progesterone, so you really need to understand what's going on. If you've got low serotonin, it's that constant need for food. Sorry about the light, I look a bit ghostly, don't I? Try and change it. Oh, I can't. It's just the way it is outside at the moment. It's that kind of cloud cover, white cloud cover. So that's something to look at, your neurotransmitters. Is your leptin out? Do you intensely exercise in the morning? Do you eat fruit for breakfast? Do you constantly crave fruit all day? Do you eat a meal and feel like you need something else? You're not satisfied, you feel like you need something else. That could mean that your leptin is out. And finally, what about your magnesium? How are your magnesium levels? Do you get eye twitches? Do you get anxiety, constipation? Do you have a mind fog? Do you have fatigue problems? All of these could mean that you've got low magnesium. So you need to look at these other things. And it's really important to look at these other things because you can focus on your mindset. But if your hormones aren't balanced, or if your estrogen's out, if your cortisol's out, if you're not doing meditation to help with the cortisol, or your meals aren't planned correctly and you're not having 3 fantastically balanced meals for you a day, you're still going to crave. So you need to figure that out. You really need to figure out what's going on biochemically, and then we can get onto the emotional part of it, which I'm going to chat about now. So hopefully you kind of had to think about that. Monday, I talked about balancing your meals. Yesterday, day 2, I talked about exercise and rethinking your exercise. So if you're waking up in the morning, pounding the gym, craving sugar all day, never feeling satisfied with what you're eating, wanting carbohydrates through the day, then most likely that exercise isn't working for you. So you need to bring it back. You need to look at implementing yin exercise, meditation, relaxation, yoga, Pilates, walking, and then that will give your body a chance to heal, balance out the cortisol levels, balance out the leptin levels, and then you might find those carbs and those sugar cravings are going. Now for me, what worked was balancing my meals. So I used to have muesli with fruit in the morning and some yogurt. And as soon as I went over to a savoury breakfast, so as soon as I moved over to a savoury breakfast, I was then able to do a savoury lunch, and then I would have my dinner. But when I started the day with fruit and muesli, that's it. It just sent me on this spiral of either needing more food, never feeling satisfied, needing more sugar. So I try to every single day have a savoury breakfast, and if I miss that savoury breakfast and I have something like I did today that was just a little snack, I just had toast with avocado on, and even though I have half an avocado, that's a bit better, even though I have half an avocado on my sort of paleo grainy bread, I still don't feel satisfied. I need like a really big breakfast. I need either lots and lots of veggies with lots and lots of avocado, lots and lots of protein and fat, that kind of thing. Like I need a lot for breakfast, and then I feel fantastic the whole day. I don't need any other food, I don't crave anything, and then I can just have a light lunch and then I have a nice dinner. So that's how my day pans out, and I feel fantastic on that. And if I deviate from that, game over. Game over for me. I'm craving, feel tired. You know, it's all that kind of thing. And I'm mid-cycle at the moment, so I'm craving more carbs. So I just put a few more carbs into my breakfast. I might put some roast sweet potato, a few tablespoons of basmati rice, that kind of thing to keep me satisfied. And just to ensure, because I know my hormones get a bit out. I know right now my progesterone's a little bit crazy. I feel like I'm estrogen dominant. So I can recognize the signs because I track my cycle as well with my food intake. It gets good after a while. It's not as boring as it sounds. So let's talk about emotions. You know, what are you really craving for? What is it when you're craving that food and you're having that sugar and you're really, really craving it? What is it that you're truly wanting, and what's happening for you in that moment? Are you feeling bored? Along with boredom will come numbness. Along with boredom will come a disconnect with others, a disconnect with the world around, a disconnect with what you're doing. You might feel no enthusiasm. And what happens with that is you do mindless snacking, and the snacking can be on anything. You're not particularly craving a particular thing. You just end up with your hand in the cookie jar, your hand in the nuts on your desk. You're suddenly in the fridge doing funny concoctions of honey with coconut oil, with peanut butter, because you think it's healthy, but also you're not quite sure why you're in the fridge. That's boredom. You're there, you're in the cupboard. You may not take the trip down to the shops, but you will do whatever you can in that moment without realizing what you're doing to reach for the foods, the nuts, the seeds, the sweets, the sugars, all of that kind of thing. So recognizing yourself, are you feeling bored in what you're doing in that moment? That's the number one emotion. Then there's stress coupled with fear. So stress, when you're stressed, your cortisol elevates, it puts you into fight or flight situation, anxiety, fear, heart beating, tension in the body, tension in the stomach, or maybe you get tension in the shoulders. You feel anxious, you're running from task to task. You're doing stuff, you might be doing stuff at a fast pace, you're doing all of that, and at the same time, you are eating, and probably sugary food, because your cortisol has gone cray-cray. So when you're eating sugary food, your cortisol's probably out. You're probably eating fast, you're not sitting down relaxing. You're probably eating fast, you're feeling the tension, you're thinking about what you're doing next, you're not thinking about how wonderful the piece of food is you're eating. That's stress coupled with fear, that's fight or flight. Then you've got guilt, the feeling of guilt or feeling of shame. They're kind of wrapped up into one another. Shameful or feeling guilty about something, feeling guilty about saying no, feeling guilty about not cleaning the house, feeling guilty for yourself, feeling guilty for others, shame for yourself, shame for others. That's more of a withdrawal. So when you withdraw and you eat, so you might go out to dinner and you go out with your friends, and you say, no, I'm just being healthy at the moment. I'll have my water. I'm just going to have my steak and salad. No, I'm not going to have dessert. Hi, Cheryl. How are you? Thanks for joining. I'm not going to have my dessert. And so you're pretty healthy around your friends or your family. But privately, what shame and guilt will do is it will make you eat privately. So maybe you go to the supermarket and you're doing your grocery shopping and you pick up the chocolate bar and you eat it in the car by yourself. Maybe you're just alone in your house and you go to raid the cupboard and you make something and you're by yourself. You don't offer anybody else anything. You don't share it with anybody else. And no one really knows that you're doing it. And that's that real telltale sign of shame and guilt. You want to withdraw, you want to hide, you want to eat alone. And it's probably something sugary. So the boredom, can be anything. The stress, fear, shame, guilt, mostly refined carbs, mostly that kind of sugar. Then we've got sadness. So sadness is kind of, everyone's felt sad. You kind of got a heaviness. You feel like maybe there's no hope. You feel like you don't know what you're going to do. You feel like you've got no options. You can't make decisions when you're sad. Lack of kind of enthusiasm and lack of other emotions. And you may feel like you want to run. That's feeling sad. And most likely you will eat quite a lot. You might eat till you feel a bit sick. You will probably eat alone, and you're probably more binge eating, so bingey style of eating, sitting down alone on the couch, eating in your bed, eating while watching television. Those can be the telltale signs of sort of sadness and eating when you're sad. So those are the main emotions. I don't know if any of those resonate with you, or I don't know if you've thought about any of those. With me, I know when I worked in an office, I was the constant snacker, nuts in my drawers, and this there, that there. I was bored. When I worked in an office, I was really bored. I was busy, but I was bored. I didn't feel like I felt like I lacked meaning because I wasn't enjoying my work. I also felt stressed, so the boredom coupled with the stress just meant that I was kind of eating all the time and not eating the right things. And sometimes even if you've got a really healthy diet, you'll still eat, healthy stuff, but in high amounts, so the consumption is higher. So I want you to think about those emotions, and what I want you to do, this is the tactic I wanted to impart on you today, so you can go away and just have a little bit of think about this to help you. So the first thing is to figure out, is there anything else going on? Are my hormones okay? Is my stress okay? Is my magnesium okay? Are my neurotransmitters okay? So you just need to have a think about that. And then what I want you to do over the next few days is when the craving comes on, I want you to just sit down and have a think about it. Have a think about what's happening for you at the time while you are craving. Have lemon in water. If you're hungry and you feel hungry in the stomach, have a savoury snack. Then if you're still craving, I want you to have a think about how are you feeling? When was your last meal? What did you have at your last meal? How are you feeling in that moment? And was there a trigger for you? Has something triggered you to have this craving? I want you to really dive into that, really dive into the emotion of how you're feeling, what's triggering it, and also what your last meal was, so you know if that was a trigger. And then I want you to understand that you need barriers with yourself. So like you've got barriers with other people, I want you to be sure of what your decision is. So if your decision this week is not to have any sugar, then you've made that decision not to have any sugar. So the barrier, you need to have good barriers, and when you make that decision, you need to have that final decision and move on to something else. If you create this mind chatter, that's only going to create stress and guilt, and you might lead to eating more. And lastly, what I wanted to talk to you about very, very quickly is willpower. Willpower is a finite resource. We don't have willpower for anything. We've got to learn it, and it's finite. We won't suddenly have willpower overnight. And if you create this way in your life where you're making yourself do stuff and then not doing stuff, the willpower is not going to last very long. You've been there. You may have been so good all day, then it gets to dinner time and you blow out, and then you have 3 glasses of wine because you've been so strict on yourself through the day. So you need to have good barriers with yourself, and you need to decide what's right, important for me at this time in my life. And it needs to be a slow process. So sugar is very important. So if you want to quit sugar, quit sugar. But if you've got that glass of wine as well at night, quitting those together is probably not the best idea. So you need to figure out what's important and figure out, don't give yourself options through the day. I mustn't do this, I mustn't do that, I have to do that, because that's when your willpower will go. But definitely have those barriers. Be sure about yourself, about what you want to achieve, and don't let your mind dictate your actions. So have already a plan in place of what you're going to eat, what you're going to do, and do not let your thoughts dictate your actions. So in terms of one of the biggest triggers of sugar eating, we've talked about balancing your meal. So if this is something that you think is an issue for you, you're going to love the free webinar on Friday at 12:30 p.m. 6 simple steps to reset your hormones and shed stubborn weight. So that's on Friday, and we're going to go into diet. We're going to go into the best macronutrients to eat. We're going to talk about balancing those macronutrients. So I really encourage you to watch that. We're going to talk about basmati rice as well, and why I recommend basmati rice over others. Simply because it does have high starch, but also buckwheat and quinoa do have high starch as well. So it's about your body uses starch slowly over the glucose. So I'm okay with a little bit of basmati rice, but we're going to talk about that more in the webinar on Friday. So I really encourage you to look at that. And then finally, I know some of you who have already done the program, but if you're kind of ready to take this to the next step and you're doing well on the sugar, or you're not doing so well, or you need more support, I do encourage you to have a look at the Breakthrough program, Breakthrough to Feeling Fantastic in a Body You Love. This program, created by myself and Brenda Janschik, is still in early bird stages. So on Friday, the early bird will be over. So right now you can get it for $99. It's a 28-day program, and we're going to talk about sugar. We're going to talk about balancing your hormones. We're going to talk about your hunger hormones, stress, and we're going to talk about balancing your diet as well. So if you're really serious about this and want to have a look at this over the next month and need some support and would like Brenda's and mine support, then I encourage you to have a look at the program. I will link to it in the comments actually, so you can have a look, and if you've got any questions, let me know. So tomorrow and Friday, I'm going to do 2 more Facebook Lives, and I would love your input. What is it you're struggling with it? What is it you really want to know? And I'm going to make a Facebook Live out of the last 2 questions. So have a great day, everybody. Good luck on your sugar-free challenge. This is day 3. For some of you, it's day 1. And for some of you, you're just watching this back on YouTube. So I hope you're going well. Hi, Jackie. How are you? Oh, Jackie, wonderful. How did the cinnamon in the smoothie go? Oh, I love cinnamon in smoothies. I love it with that kind of, I love it with a little bit of cacao and some coconut milk and some chia seeds or maybe some nice almond milk. It makes it kind of really smooth and just gives it a really great flavour. Beautiful. I'd love to know, Jackie, how the quill went for you though in the smoothie. I haven't used the quill. I've actually used the powder. So I'd love to know how that turned out. Cheryl, thanks so much for joining. Jackie, thanks for joining. I'm going to finish up now, but I would love you to just pop in the notes how the cinnamon went for you, and also maybe what else you put in the smoothie, so we can have a little look, and maybe some people can get some good advice and tips from you on smoothie making. Have a great day, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your sugar-free challenge, and good luck if this is just your day 1 of the sugar-free challenge. And I will talk to you later. Bye.